The Warhammer universe is a vast and incomprehensible place. Heroes rise and fall every day, and many are lost to the ever-moving corrosion of time. Their deeds are mighty and many, yet memories dissolve and slip through the cracks of one's mind, until these legends are all but forgotten. As I looked within an old Eldar Codex, I came across two characters that I had never heard of in all my years of Warhammer. These characters are Ayan Areno and Nadu fireart. This gave me a wondering of how many characters we have lost since those days of old. So I searched the old codexes and have compiled here 7 characters that I, and likely you, have never heard of. All characters I have chosen are from a codex other than 2, but these 2 at the end you will see should be in the codex, and it's weird that they aren't. It would be easy to take any random side character from one of the hundreds of novels in 40k and say you have never heard of them, so I thought taking characters that had their own profiles for tabletop was a bit cooler. If you are a true vet who has been playing from around 3rd edition onwards, you may know of most of these, but if you are like me and started playing even as far back as 5th edition, I'm confident you likely haven't even seen a picture of most of these characters. Before we delve deep into the annals of history, I would like to present today's sponsor. It shall only take a minute, and it is a brand I actually appreciate, as I would never advertise something I myself do not enjoy to my beloved community. I would like to thank Into the AM for sponsoring this video. They're an awesome t-shirt company that I actually really like. They sent me these 3 shirts to try on, this one, and this one. As you can see, they have a very good variety of designs. They all hold up really well. I put them through the washer and the dryer multiple times just to make sure that they were good, and they are. You can check the link in the description for 10% off, and they also have an 80% off clearance on certain items right now, and a 3 for $65 deal for most t-shirts. Again, they have a ton of variety and really cool designs. I'm looking forward to getting more personally. Thank you again to Into the AM for sponsoring this video, and now let's learn about some cool Warhammer characters. Ayan Areno is one of Ayandan's greatest spirit seers. She is a maker of wraiths and a skilled psyker, able to bring destruction to her foes and guidance to the many wraiths of her craft world. She wields the beautiful Spear of Toothless, which originates from the earliest days and the founding of Ayandan. Her armor of Vol is a mysterious suit powered by psychic energy, allowing Ayandan to create a near impenetrable force field around herself. On the tabletop, instead of rolling for saves, she would roll a leadership test, and with a leadership of 9, she was making those saves most of the time. This save also works like an invulnerable save, so you could take it against everything. Ayan is actually extremely active in the 41st millennium, aiding her craft world and the Ynnari with a band of followers to rival that of Prince Uriel's. They have searched far and fought many battles on their quest to find the stones of Mora Haig. To my knowledge, she is actually in a few books. If you wish to know more about her, I would recommend reading the Ayandan novels. This is only a brief overview of the Codex lore, so there's a lot more to her. Nadu fireart is the greatest wild rider of Simhan. He is a fearless and reckless warrior who charges into battle bellowing battle cries and words of encouragement to his forces. Where the enemy fire is at its thickest and the fighting is at its most bloody, one can find Nadu, skillfully and artfully riding at lightning fast speeds atop his Viper. As Cain rode to war upon his steed Elayan, so does Nadu, wielding a spear that passes through Terminator plate like paper. His wild riders are always in his wake, charging alongside their leader into the jaws of death and coming out alive, as Nadu describes death as an old crone who can never have hope of catching his riders. On the tabletop, he rode on an actual Viper, that he of course modified, but still with the same profile, making him extremely fast and giving him an armor value. Krulog the Vile is a particularly wicked Archon of the Dark Eldar, who was last seen in the 3rd edition Dark Eldar Codex. Even by her kin standards, she is an evil and terrible warrior who leads her cabal, the Emasculators, of almost entirely females. The males are generally enslaved to their will, and the cabal revels in bloody combat. Krulog herself wields 2 spikes upon her hands, known as the Soul Flayer. This sucks the vital juices out of her victims, and she feeds on the essence and the pain, becoming invigorated and reaching further and further heights of speed and slaughter. She invokes incredible fear within her foes, as her lithe and beautiful form butchers droves of enemies. She carries specially made damnation grenades, which eviscerate all who are caught in their blast. Krulog's whereabouts are unknown, but with her skilled retinue of killers, she is likely out there somewhere, slaughtering to her heart's content. Her Soul Flayer gave her +2 attacks in close combat, and an additional attack for the next turn if she slew an enemy. Moving on to 2 Imperial characters, I have chosen Bastone and Justicar Thawn. Both fellas were last seen in 5th edition. Justicar Thawn is an immortal Grey Knight who even as a young boy was recognized as being of incredible power. As the dreaded black ships came to take their dues, Thawn was waiting for them in the airlock, pure serenity on his face. His power was recognized and the child was made into a Grey Knight, serving the Sons of Titan. He quickly proved to be both a powerful psyker and mighty warrior. On one occasion he slew a bloodthirster, and on another he was the last survivor upon a demon world. He would continue to survive for weeks against an entire planet's worth of demons as he walked the nightmarish realm until reinforcements arrived. He then showed these reinforcements critical locations that he had discovered and was promoted to Justicar. On a tragic and fateful day, Thawn was slain by the Keeper of Secrets Nakari, but as the funeral procession carried his casket, a banging sounded. They quickly opened it to find the Justicar alive and well. After years of examination, no taint was found, and Thawn returned to service, where he would die and resurrect again and again. Some speak of a legend in which an immortal warrior will finally die at the foot of the Golden Throne. Only time will tell what fate has in store for Thawn, but for now he rages on against the hopeless battle to defeat the Dark Gods. On the tabletop, you would place a marker on Thawn's spots whenever he died, and roll every turn. On a 4+, he would get up and keep going. This ability wasn't a one-time use either, so he could just keep going. Lucas Bastone is the greatest soldier to ever live. He is the shining example of a man, guardsman, and hero. Lucas was born into nobility that would have seen him bypass the grunt work of the guard and shoot straight to the rank of officer. He eschewed this privilege and began just like everyone else. As a lowly guardsman, he rapidly proved his ability, constantly leading his squad mates with incredible and precise decision making. His ability for tactical genius was easily recognized, and Bastone swiftly became a sergeant. Since that day, Lucas has led his squad mates to countless impossible victories. He is a true genius of war, able to recall every piece of information he has ever learned. With this perfect memory though, comes the recollection of every squad member lost and a crystal clear vision of their death. It is said that under his perfectly kept uniform, Bastone has every name of every fallen soldier that he has commanded tattooed onto his body in case he ever forgets. He's a man of selflessness, bravery, honor, discipline, and true heroism, proving to be one of the greatest individuals in the entirety of Warhammer. He once led his men onto the hellscape of a Nurgle-invaded planet to extract its governor, succeeding in the deadly mission. However, one of his men had been wounded and left behind, so Bastone went back into this nightmare to rescue him. The man had been infected with Nurgle's rot, and Bastone himself shouldered the duty of executing him. The sergeant has been awarded the Star of Terra and was martyred fighting for his people and for the good of all upon Cadia. On the tabletop, he was able to relay his own orders and allowed his unit to regroup no matter their casualties. Last on the list are two characters, who in my opinion are actually just one character. That should definitely be in the Tau Codex. Shazo and Shazla Case. They are by far the two most distinguished killers of the Tau, and in my opinion are probably supposed to be the same person. Starting with the lower in rank, Shazla Case is the protagonist in Fire Warrior, and was my first favorite Warhammer character. In the book Fire Warrior, based off of the video game, Shazla Case survives an entire war almost entirely alone. Throughout the story, he becomes number and number, until he has become nothing but a weapon. Case is sent to rescue an ethereal, and in doing so racks up a kill tally that likely no other Fire Warrior has or ever will even come close to. He is Doom, an invincible and unstoppable force of nature that cuts through the Imperial forces as an emotionless murder machine. He single-handedly takes out tanks along with droves of guardsmen, and even survives encounters with space marines and retains his will when faced with chaos. He is shot in the head, but fate appears to be with him, as the bolt fails to detonate and he lives. Case actually teams up with an ultramarine near the end of the book, and together they defeat a Lord of Change. At the end of the story, Case's mind is shattered, and he has sustained extremely grievous injuries, yet he survives the war, and his mind is likely pieced back together thanks to Tau technology. Shazo Case is the Tau protagonist you see in Dawn of War Dark Crusade. At this point in time, he is an effective commander and merciful diplomat, which is surprising given his true nature as a lone warrior. While the Blood Ravens win the day, Case proves himself an incredibly skilled warrior within his XV-22 stealth battlesuit. Case is later seen as one of Commander Puretide's students. Along with Oshazera and Oshova, he is the greatest hero the Tau have to offer. With Puretide, he further masters the way of the army of one, the Monat. He becomes a living weapon, a being of ice-cold efficiency with little care of anything but how to better kill. Even to the other two pupils, he is off-putting and often can be hard to work with, yet at one point he was their friend. Whoever that Case was is long gone now, however. After the Cronus campaign, he was placed into cryostasis, to be awakened for the victory of the Furioseps, then again to be unleashed upon the Dark Angels. Importantly, during the time between the two latter conflicts, his mind was kept awake for 100 years. This of course is enough to drive any man insane, yet it brought Case into a particular razor-sharp and lethal edge of insanity. During this 100 years, he lived within his mind, devising tactics to defeat every single known enemy of the Tau Empire. Without any physical training, his skills were honed to beyond the point any Tau could or ever will hope to achieve. When unleashed, he slaughtered so many of the Space Marines that they resulted in orbitally bombarding him, and not even this could kill the Monad. He is a cold-hearted killer who is not even truly Case anymore. He is nothing but a weapon. Anger, hatred, unmatched skill, unwavering fearlessness, and a psychotic, invincible iron-sharp will to do nothing but slaughter. Case cannot be reasoned with. He cannot be controlled, only let loose to do his bloody work. He is by far the most terrifying Tau adversary and certainly their greatest warrior. He is the perfect Monad and his current whereabouts are unknown. These obviously sound like the same character, right? Unfortunately, if we go solely off the 40k timeline, they are not. For Puretide is dead 200 years before the Fire Warrior video game takes place. Along with this, Case means skillful and is a relatively common nickname. However, it is my personal belief that due to Fire Warrior being some of the very first Tau lore, along with Puretide's story only really emerging now in the new Farsight novels, and the large doubt that the people making the video game were overly concerned with the dates, that there is a high chance they are the same individual. Shazla and Shaz-O-Kais are both the exemplars of the Monad, and are warriors whose minds have been broken, who have abandoned all reason and become numb to everything, with the only desire to be a weapon. If GW cared enough to actually write about him more than 3 times, we could see Kais body some people in 40k. I'm hoping they go back to his story someday and, like the other Puretide students, add him to a codex. Only time will tell. If you want to learn more about characters, check out my friend Arthur Bone's video of a bunch of us Warhammer guys talking about our favorite characters. I actually talked about Kais for that and just used the same script today. If you ever get the chance, you should read Fire Warrior. Old 40k novels are crazy. I hope you learned something today. A lot of these characters don't have much lore, but some do pop up in books here and there. The biggest one for me was Thawn, an unkillable space marine who's essentially a living saint. Kinda crazy, I had never heard of him. Some honorable mentions are guys like Tycho, Telly, and Doom Rider and the likes of the Space Marine fellas, who did not make it further than 7th edition or earlier. It's honestly crazy to me that 5th edition can be called old at this point, but time keeps going on. I hope they bring back some of these characters, or in Thawn's case, make a model for them at all. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and let me know about any characters who you think I should have mentioned. Maybe I'll even learn something new from you guys. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.